Welcome to Night School. It is the place where we have conversations about the most interesting issues, the most contested topics, the most controversial subjects going on in the world today. Tonight, we talking pop culture. We're going to have a exciting, interesting, engaging conversation about a bunch of issues going on in the world today. And I brought back two of our most popular guests. I don't care for them much, but y'all seem to really like them.
Yeah, hate them.
Jameer Pond and
it.
Treva B. Lindsey. I want to thank both of y'all for joining me in the room today. The comments section is bugging out. That's what I was looking at. I don't know why. It's something I did wrong, I'm sure. But so I might not be able to see all of the comments, but I want y'all to know that I am watching. Let me see if I can get this to work. I want y'all to know I'm reading. I will read the comments. I'm just gonna have to do it a different way. I'll slide over to the other site, but please keep the comments coming in, and we will keep the conversation going. But tonight we're going to talk about a couple issues, and I want to thank y'all for joining me for these issues. By the way, Jameer, tell me what you do for a living?
Like as a profession?
Yeah.
Okay, so as a profession, I'm a video director for Condé Nast, specifically Vanity Fair, and I travel the country as a storyteller, a live first-person storyteller. It's like comedy, but you don't move. You create stories with your body. So
you create stories with your body?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I knew a girl that used to do that.
Hey, I don't know what to say to that.
It was important labor. I value it. I respected it.
That sounds like something different than what I'm saying, but
I don't know what you're saying.
We both entertaining. I'm sure it was entertaining though.
Look, tell the story with your body, man. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. And Doctor, I can say Doctor, right? You cool, Doctor?
I'm fine with Doctor.
Dr. Treva B. Lindsey. Well, tell them what you do. Tell the people what you do.
I am a professor. I'm a writer, and I run an initiative called Black Feminist Night School. So I love the night school format of doing this kind of work, but I'm based in the community here in Columbus, Ohio. So
which is dope. And how can people access? Where do people get Black Feminist Night School?
Sure, you can head over to Zora's House, which is this amazing community organization in Columbus, Ohio, that serves women and gender expansive people of color. All over. You can be anywhere in the world. We do a lot of events that are both hybrid and some that are exclusively online, but we have guests come in, we have talks, we're having a film series coming up, and just a space to engage and think about Black feminisms in a very low-key, non-academic way. And it's a lot of fun. We've been running it now for 4 years. So it has been a tremendous experience thus far.
Yo, I'm hyped. To hear about its growth, and that's dope. And I might have to check that out. I like the idea of low key and non-academic. That's how people usually describe me. So let's talk about some of these issues going on in the world today. The first thing, yesterday I was going to talk about some heavy stuff. Tonight we're going to do mostly pop culture stuff because I am sick and I am tired and I am exhausted. And I don't have time.
Sick when we here.
I think I got COVID the last time. Wait a minute. COVID. I got COVID right after I got off the phone with y'all. Right after I got the video with y'all.
So you recognize that is literally no correlation.
I'm just saying I talked to y'all and I got COVID. That's all I'm saying.
So whatever you were doing before, we provided enough of a healing balm that you were able to have such an enjoyable time on here that gave you sustenance in a time when you were about to be shut off from the world. So that was really us.
You must be a Black preacher on the low too. I saw what you just did there.
So your third eye.
Let's talk about Angel Reese. Angel Reese has had haters all year and supporters, but she's had a lot of people that feel like she is in a one-on-one competition with Caitlin Clark. Yeah. And so I feel like some people love Caitlin Clark. Some people love Angel Reese, and a whole lot of people feel like they got to choose between the two. Well, she made the controversy even more controversial when she went on her live stream and she started talking about the WNBA, started talking about her career, started talking about money, And just a little bit of backdrop. A lot of people are saying that Angel Reese doesn't take the offseason serious, that she doesn't do what Caitlin Clark does. That Caitlin Clark is in the gym right now, and Angel Reese is outside, and she thinks she's better than the WNBA. And here's what she said, and here's how people responded.
Hand pays them bills, baby. I just hope y'all know the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. Literally. I'm trying to think of like my rent for where I stay at. Let me do the math real quick.
It might cover that. Yeah,
It
definitely covers that.
What is my, I don't even know my salary. 74? Okay. Times.
I love it.
Yeah. Does it? You don't even. Yo, I'm living beyond my means. It's like, no, my rent is more than that. It's 8,000. I'm living beyond my means, like y'all think, babe. If y'all thought, it's like.
So this got people upset. I mean, I had never seen so many tweets about somebody's rent before. When I saw $8,000 rent trending, I was trying to understand why, and then I backed into this story. Help me understand. First of all, and as we're watching this, the WNBA finals just ended. Game 4 just ended. It's now a 2-2 series, all tied up Minnesota in New York, and I'm excited because it was the second really game that was probably an all-time classic already, and this whole series has been amazing. So shout out to the WNBA women who are just making an amazing season this year. But people mad at Angel, Dr. Lindsey.
People stay mad at Angel, and I feel so big sister protective of her in a particular way, right? I do want to be big sister protective and also be like, girl, where you staying in Chicago? That's $8,000 a month. I would like to adjust that and have some different conversations about that, not based on her income, just based on the fact that Chicago does not require $8,000 a month rent.
I don't know Chicago, like, okay.
You have a great apartment, actually. Like, that felt very off to me. But beyond that, a lot of people are like, she's making the joke like, oh, living beyond my means or whatever. And she's very honest about what her salary is, right? She's saying I think it's actually around $76,000. So no, it's not paying her rent at that thing. She has endorsements. She's doing deals. She's doing this. She's showing up. She's doing appearances. She was recently featured with Asia Wilson on the cover of Wall Street Journal. This is a woman who is a brand that is one of the reasons, in addition, of course, to Caitlin Clark, that a lot of new fans have tuned in. We watched that LSU Iowa game.
But you watched it for Caitlin. Caitlin.
Well, as somebody who's been watching WNBA for years, that's not me. But I do think that there is that moment, the ring moment, when she does it in the face, right? When that final moment of that championship, that's such an important, and of course, one of the most watched college games of last year, right? Was their Final Four match. It wasn't not even just talking about the championship between South Carolina and Iowa last year. So Angel Reese is someone who is so visible. She is a celebrity. And we know for a number of athletes and a number of people, especially when we think about the salaries of the WNBA versus what other opportunities are there for them, she's making so much more money doing everything else. But also people like to pick at her. So they also just conveniently ignore the video when she's talking about getting up at 6:30 in the morning to go work out.
They're saying she's fiscally irresponsible, though. They're saying you don't have rent that's more than your base salary. And I'm watching all these sudden financial planners on Twitter.
I mean, which is ridiculous to me. Most people have to have rent in this country. I mean, we can talk about rent. We can talk about housing justice. We can have a whole conversation about that. Again, I think for the market, that feels a little high, but that's not even necessarily about what money she may or may not be bringing in. But I also think what they're really getting at is saying you aren't the kind of player that we want to get behind. You're setting this kind of example. You're at Meg's show. You're doing this. You're doing this.
Yes.
Interviewing global.
I'm hearing a lot of that.
There's a lot of noise around her. Mind you, her season ended a while ago, right? The Chicago Sky was not in the playoffs this year. And so she's been out, and she was injured towards the end of the season.
Hurt her wrist.
Right? And she
let me bring Jameer in on this. Jameer, I mean, you're another person I know whose rent is higher than your salary. So
stop pocket watching me. You don't know what's happening.
I'm pocket watching everybody.
Don't pocket watch me.
I'm pocket watching everybody. That's what it seemed. I thought we weren't supposed to pocket watch, but with Angel, it seems like everybody's very comfortable pocket watching. And I gotta ask the why question of it all. What is the reason why people are so obsessed with this? I mean, rappers spend a lot of money. Mm-hmm. They have chains that cost more than their deals. And I've never heard anybody on Twitter say, I really wish they'd make more fiscally responsible. What's going on?
I think people, I've seen a lot more men into this conversation. I don't think a lot of men like women. I think a lot of men are, attracted to women, but I don't think a lot of men like women, like on a human level. And so when they see somebody who's see a woman who cocky, beautiful, out here balling and saying like, yo, the WNBA don't pay my bills, I gotta go outside and get money for it. Like, to me, I applaud that because she being honest. I wish we had more conversations around money and finances, like specifically in circles that I'm in, openness, because it is true. She was like, I make $74,000 a year. All right, that don't cover my bills. Right, I've been downtown Chicago. First of all, I didn't know Chirac and Chicago were two different places, because downtown Chicago, all right, these people ain't even have blinds. I was looking all up in their windows, right next to the Gucci store, which is next to the Burberry store. It's like,
you was near a Gucci store?
No, I didn't go. I walked past though, and they had armed security out there. It's very richy down there. So if she lived down there, I could understand. But I think overall, people just stop pocket watching. She doing her thing. If she made enough as a whole, as a base income, she wouldn't have to be out here hustling and getting deals on the side. I mean,
to me, Treva, that's the more interesting question, right? Not why is her rent 8 times 12 is 90? Why is it 96? Why is her rent $96,000 a year and her salary? What'd you say was 70?
74. That's what she said. Yeah.
To me, the question is, if you are a professional basketball player, why is your salary $74,000? Now, some of y'all saying, why are you worried about them? There's teachers, there's lawyers, there's doctors. Sure. But there are billionaires who own these teams who are writing checks for not millions, but for tens of thousands to these players. And so it's a labor exploitation issue. Absolutely. I think everybody should make more, but
absolutely,
these players are absolutely being exploited. So to me, the question should be more of, why aren't the women making more, right? I'm sure Angel Reese just signed a Reese's Pieces deal, which is it's a great connection, right? So I know she's making money on brand deals, NIL. She's been making money since college. So the WNBA isn't her only source of income. But at the end of the day, why isn't what is the missing piece here around women's income?
I mean, women's income broadly. I mean, I think this goes back. I mean, Jameer made such a great point. There's such a distinct hatred for women, and specifically for Black women, and Black women who show up in the world in a particular way, right? Angel Reese shows up in she's period. She shows up in the world in a certain way. And when you say cocky, she has bravado. She knows her value. And I think when you know your value in a system that is built around devaluing you, right? So even though salaries have gone up in the WNBA, let's be clear, the fact of the matter is they also expanded the number of games that they play. So they're not actually making significantly more. They just renegotiated TV rights and deals, but again, we're having the expansion of the league. We're seeing all of this come in. We're seeing the growth of the league, and the time will really tell pretty quickly what that means for these players, what that means for players who feel compelled and need to go play overseas because this is their skill set. This is their job. This is what they do to make money in order to make ends meet, to pay whatever their rent is or mortgage is or whatever bills they may have. And so we saw that, of course, in the very, 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 very tragic case of Brittany Griner.
Yes.
who was playing in Russia. But most of our WNBA folks we know by name go play overseas after the season here ends and get paid significantly more. And so we have to be honest about the system of exploitation that's been set up here and advocate alongside workers across the board. Think about WNBA players as workers as we're thinking about these different labor movements that are happening right now and saying, you mad she got different hustles so she can pay her bills? That's really weird. How we advocate so people only need a job, right, to get things. I want a universal basic income personally, but
now you're talking.
Yeah.
For us to have a space in which everybody is working one job with dignity, with healthcare that's not attached to your job, with all of these things that come with that. And that's not what we have. And we know women are disproportionately in extractive and exploitative jobs that are underpaid and undervalued.
There's another piece here to this, Jameer, which is the bigger narrative of Angel Reese as being framed as being framed as unserious.
Mm-hmm.
Angel Reese is unserious. I heard somebody say the other day when they saw Angel Reese at the game. She was at a game or a party or some shit she was at, and she was outside. Is the point? And somebody was like, "Caitlin Clark's in the gym right now." I'm like, "How the fuck do you know where Caitlin Clark is?" Now, I might be the world's biggest Caitlin Clark fan. I love Caitlin Clark.
I can tell.
Yeah, I think she's a generational talent.
She is.
No,
I think, yeah, I mean, she's special. It's just, we should be able to have that conversation, but also have this conversation about all these other amazing talents. But it feels like whenever a white person or a non-black person shows up in sports, we got to create these narratives that they're unique and unicorns and special. I remember when Jeremy Lin, I mean, you're from New York, unfortunately. Like, you remember when Jeremy Lin popped up, and I remember they started talking about Jeremy Lin, like he goes into, at halftime, he goes back and watches the footage of the game to see where he went wrong. Like, what you think the other dudes is? You know, like Carmelo was shooting dice back there. Like, they all watch it. Everybody watches the game. You know what I mean? At halftime, they're fucking in this direction. Like, I don't understand. But they had to make Jeremy Lin like, he's different, right?
Yeah.
In the gym. Angel Reese is in the gym every day.
Yeah.
She was literally doing drills with her other hand when she hurt her wrist.
Yeah.
Ending her season. So this idea that she is different, right? Caitlin Clark is different. Why we got to do that all the time?
I think it's well, let me just say this. First of all, when you did live in New York, you drove them prices up, okay? Gentrifier. I said it. And I
lived in the Fort.
You lived in
Listen
the
to me.
Fort Greene
I looked at
high-rise.
Don't do that.
I was my high rise and saw the Fort Greene project. All I saw was urban despair. I was
privileged.
Literally.
Don't make me, Dr. Hill, do not make me go on X. Do not make me go on Twitter or Instagram and blow your whole spot. Let's not do this.
All I'm saying is that I was I'm a black person moving to a black area.
Let's stop.
Stop.
Right near Bernard King and Little Anthony from Little Anthony in the Imperials.
Please stop. I just want you to cut it out. All right? You cut it out.
You didn't just pull Dave Coulier in.
I sure did post Dave Coulier.
Wow.
Okay. Now, what I was going to say, I think that like history is cyclical. Like, we've been here with the NBA in the 80s. Like, Larry and Magic saved the league, but we're not going to act like race wasn't involved. We're not going to act like Showtime Lakers weren't called cocky and, arrogant and ball. They were ruining the game, and the way that Larry played the game was so pure. And, race has always been a
Larry Bird was a bad motherfucker.
I would never say he wasn't. Caitlin Clark is a bad motherfucker.
She reminds me of Larry Bird.
Huh? I mean, which is like what we're seeing. We're seeing a great white hope kind of trope being put on Caitlin Clark. She can do no wrong. She drinks milk in the morning. Home milk. Yeah, I'm sure. But that don't mean that like Angel Reese is outside shooting dice. That was good. Like, she's shooting CeeLo. You know what I'm saying? These women are young women. First of all, one in, I don't know the odds, but they in the WNBA. You know, they're on a national platform. They're literally being touted as the people who are pulling up the WNBA. Like, can we get a little grace? Why can't Angel Reese go to a Megan Thee Stallion show? That don't mean she can't get rebounds. Like,
I guess James Harden goes to little baby shows. He brings them $100,000. He brings them honey buns.
James Harden shows up to practice and games barrel chested every year, and nobody says anything to him.
And AI been partying since day one. I used
been partying
outside with AI back in the, you know, in the early aughts and in the late 90s.
Nobody says anything. Nobody says anything about the, like, Dennis Rodman is like Dennis Rodman said, yo, during the playoffs, hey, look, actually, I need to go to Vegas for 48 hours real quick to get the literally. And he went, and Phil Jackson was like, all right, come on back. Will you come on back? And he played amazing. You telling me, like, on an off season, it's a problem if I got, you know, whatever kind of deals and I'm going to whatever kind of shows?
Do we just not want to see women outside? Do we just not want to see women outside? I mean, you know, Kobe
people don't like black women. The doctor just said it. People don't like them. They don't like them. It's the truth. It's sad, but it's the truth. Like, if we break it down to a real level, people don't like them. They don't like women who are confident. People don't like confident women. People don't like women who are outspoken. And like Doctor said, specifically black women. So this is not surprising. You got somebody who's like, I got standards. I know who I am. I'm gonna get my money. And you know what? This bag it's not doing what it need to do for me. So I'm outside getting other money. Right. And I'm still talented and a generational player as well.
I don't know if I call her a generational player, but I agree with everything else you said. And I love Angel Reese. I think she's phenomenal. And she's a lot better than I thought she'd be. Her adjustment to the WNBA was pretty extraordinary to me. I meean, she's already become maybe the best rebounder in the history of the league.
That's says generation to me.
Would you call Dennis Rodman a generational player?
I think he was. Yeah, because I think he changed the way even rebounding looked. Like, rebounding wasn't sexy. He was getting 24 rebounds a game. That's generational to me.
Okay, that's fine. I'm drinking sake, by the way. I hear it's good for the. What? I want people to think I was.
You got that cough.
It clears my chest.
You know you got that cough.
This is clearing up my cough.
Okay.
It clearing up my cough. You don't know about that. Somebody said Marc is a Battlestar Galactica. I am not a Battlestar Galactica fan. This shirt is a reference to The Office.
You didn't even have that shirt when we came. I was going to ask you about that. You changed it during your video resume.
Well, thank you. It's because I've been sick for the last couple of days, so I'm wearing the same shirt.
Oh,
I couldn't show up on air with the same shirt. Thank you, though.
Okay.
It's fine. I don't need no judgment. Your little judgment, that doesn't matter to me. So on to something a little more serious. Diddy. There is a new allegation that's come out about Sean Combs. One that for me is among the more disturbing, and I know that's saying a lot. And I think the thing that makes this one the most disturbing to me, and it's not the first time we've heard it, is that it's an allegation about an underage person, right? This is Diddy's first alleged underage victim. He's come forward, a male accuser who says he was at one of the white parties. He says he didn't want to be named. He said that he was sexually assaulted by the Bad Boy founder when he was 16 years old. Now, allegedly, the incident happened at one of the Hamptons parties, I believe, or one of the white parties, actually. And everybody, mama was there, allegedly. And the young man thought that this would be an opportunity to network and to get an opportunity to get a record deal or to get into the business of music. And he said Diddy quickly took it, according to the lawsuit, which was filed by Tony Busby. He said that Diddy took a liking to him and took interest in him right away. And as he was trying to sell himself as a music star, it quickly turned into a molestation situation. He said Diddy took him to a private corner and instructed him to drop his pants, expose his penis so that he could inspect it. And the young man says that out of fear, anxiety, is a quote, out of fear, anxiety, and the imbalanced power dynamic between himself and Combs, John Doe, that's the young man, then dropped his pants and exposed his penis as Combs previously instructed. I won't get into all the details, but it seems like Diddy then just literally molested him, allegedly. In the filing, the accuser called Diddy a menace to society, women, and children. I'm always fascinated by those distinctions between like society, women, and children. That's another conversation. He also claimed that the white parties were covered for other illicit activities. According to the filing, quote, there existed something sinister, a dark underbelly of crime, sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, bribery, and prostitution. And then there was one other interesting accusation there, which is that the baby oil may have been laced with GBH. That it wasn't just the baby oil wasn't just there as baby oil or even as a lubricant, that he was dousing victims in lotions or similar body oils to make them easier to assault. As of now, John Doe was one of 120 plus victims who have accused the rapper of several sex crimes. And it is believed that 25 of those 120 plus victims are minors, or at least at the time of the allegation. Now, to his credit, I have to say this, although I think it's bullshit and don't care, Diddy's attorneys claim that the accusations were, quote, all outrageous and deeply prejudicial and could prevent him from getting a fair trial on his federal sex crime charges. It raises an interesting question, but I guess for me, are we at a point now, Dr. Lindsey, where when we hear these kinds of allegations, it's like there's so many of them, it's almost like it's hard to be outraged by each one. It's like back in the day when Donald Trump would say something racist or ridiculous. It's like at some point, like by day 30, you couldn't even keep track of all of it. How are you making sense of this moment where we're getting a Diddy allegation every day?
To be perfectly honest, for various reasons, it's not even that I've tuned out. I think I am very clear that what is being mapped here is a trajectory that surrounds kind of a culture of predation and violence and harm, and that each new allegation, each new person coming forward absolutely deserves, if that's what they're seeking, to have their story heard, to have that adjudicated, if that's the path that they're choosing. And not all survivors or victims choose the criminal legal system or the civil legal system for redress. Some people literally just want to be heard in these instances, and most never say anything. And so in this instance, when we're having kind of each day or every few days new allegations, and it usually is like a few at a time or 100 or 20 or something new that's coming out, I think what's important in this moment, and we touched on this when we first discussed this case, is for us not to be desensitized to the gravity of what is being alleged, while also being very careful with how we imbibe all of these different stories, because they're so harmful, because it reflects on us as a culture, what we've allowed, what we have prohibited, what is seen as normalized, what is seen as acceptable, what we have to do to actually reckon with this and to disrupt this culture of predation, which is not singularly just Diddy. Because what this moment has also meant is that people are responding in all kinds of ways that let you know, whoa, I would not be safe around you, nor would other people, right? People are telling on themselves in this moment. And so there's a personal level to this, there's a micro level to this, there's an intimate level to these revelations, and there's also this broader level of this singular individual and the network around him that have allegedly created this culture of predation and violence. And so I think there are a few different levels that we all have to process this on. And I know for myself, it is the intimate level that's been most pertinent for me, watching people in my sphere respond to this and seeing the variance among the responses to this.
I think I'm experiencing a very similar thing. I'm stunned by the sheer number. There's nothing that I've heard in the last month that has shocked me based on what I'd heard the previous 9 months. But the volume of it is overwhelming, and my fear, honestly, is that people will cease to be shocked, as you just talked about, right? That there's a way that you become, as you, to use your word, desensitized to it. Jameer, do you think this culture, this society, I'm talking about the United States in particular, has the capacity to kind of keep track of this? Like, do you think when Diddy's case comes up, I think it's in May now, May 5th or something like that, you know, if all the stuff comes out now, will it be passe by then? I mean, this is a country that couldn't even hold R. Kelly accountable for decades. Right. I mean, do you think we're gonna be able to hold on to this?
You know, I can't really speak for the country as a whole, but I think society and just like the culture of this. I mean, we spoke about it last time, but like, you know, people really getting their moments to get these jokes off. And even like I've seen the volume of jokes slow down as like things have continued to move. I think people hopped on the Diddy allegations, the Cassie video, you know, just those moments early, and just started to get everything, all the baby oil videos, or the, you know, don't go to, you going to Diddy party, like every other question.
Even calling him the diddler, right? I mean,
the diddler, yeah, all these things, you know, people were just asking, yo, you ever been to a Diddy party? Yo, what was that Diddy party like? If you've been to Diddy. And so I think it just became like a microcosm of actually what's going on, and kind of just ballooned into something different. I think the short answer is like, I think we don't take shit seriously enough as a society, and so people get these jokes off and then don't realize the true gravity of like what's going on. So I think things will kind of be, not to say stale, but like a lot slower until the trial comes back up, and then it intensifies again because now it's being brought into the cycle, and people want to know who was at the white party, who's in the files, who, and we kind of just like, you know, I think it's a great point. You get exhausted. I know I personally have. And I remember our last conversation of just like trying to just keep a open and conscious mind and not be desensitized. But I think it is shocking for me just to know the sheer volume of like what's going on, and then what that means for my childhood as somebody who saw him as a creative hero and was like, damn, I want to be like him when I grow up. But now knowing like even he wasn't who I thought he was or presented himself to be. So it's tiring. It's exhausting. It's shameful a little bit. It's like, damn, like you really don't know who people, I mean, and not say I idolize them, but people, you know, looking up to people like heroes as creative inspiration for myself, and realizing that, you know, this dude is human. He's not, you know, this pedestal, a statue, or a figure that I put him on. He's a human being.
Let's look at the other side of that though, Treva. He's human, but there's a way that now he's been looked at as subhuman, right? There's a way that he's going to be framed as a monster and a predator and evil, which is how we tend to frame people right before we incarcerate them. How is there room in this narrative to see Diddy as someone who was harmed, or see Diddy as someone who deserves mercy, or Diddy was someone who can be atoned? Again, I think, and this is my opinion, I think Diddy's guilty. I think he's guilty of, I don't know if he did everything he's accused of, but I know he's done enough of it to need some serious accountability. I know that I believe these children, these young people, I believe these women, I believe these stories on the whole, and I believe what he's done is indefensible. So in light of that, I have to ask myself, then what do we do with a person? What do we do with the Diddy? And then at the legal level, Diddy's point is, as his lawyer said, is if all these civil cases keep coming out, and every day the news is filled with Diddy molests this person, Diddy touches this person, Diddy diddles this person, right? Then what do you do in May when he's going up for a criminal case, if the world already presumes, like, can he actually get a fair trial? I mean, it's a reasonable question. And also, it's hard for me to care that whether this trial is fair, because I think he did it, but I have to look beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really tough questions, Marc. I think it is. My short answer is I don't think he gets a fair trial based on the standards of our criminal legal system, that he'll have presumptive innocence going into this. I don't think that is what is going to happen. I think there's a number of things that have prevented that, including video footage of one of the many vicious assaults that Cassie Ventura brought to the fore and puts into a context. You have folks who have, even prior to these specific allegations, who have talked about Diddy in very negative ways. Many of his artists who worked closely with him in doing this. I think what's going to be important to hold in this moment, in the ease with which we can singularize what he's done and talk about him as a monster, as the predator, as the diddler, right? Like all of these names that we like to think about, because that's a mistake. That is actually the wrong thing to take away from this as the lesson, the singularizing of it.
Okay.
One, there is a culture around him. There is folks around him who were able to, a lot of people turned away from what we saw, from what we heard, from what was being experienced by a bunch of people, right? There's not just, and even in the civil lawsuits that we're talking about, it's not just Diddy being implicated, right? And there's something about the ways that we normalize predation in culture, people with power, people who have access to unlimited money, people who have access to saying you get this job and you don't get this job, people who have that. We saw this in the R. Kelly case. We saw this in Epstein. We see it in Harvey Weinstein. We see it again and again and again. And if we keep going back just to the individual, we never actually address the culture of predation that allows for us to have a more robust system of accountability. Because if our accountability is just get this singular predator out of our community and suddenly predation is gone, well, we know no numbers have changed in terms of women, children, men, gender expansive folks being harmed through sexual violence since Diddy's been locked up, right? Like that number, that rate continues. And so I think we have to be very careful about the kind of monstrosity of an individual argument being the predominant thing. Not saying that that can't be in the conversation, but being the predominant thing, because it lets us off the hook. And I want us to be on the hook.
Yeah.
I want to be on the hook, and I want us to deeply care about who was harmed. And that is something that banning about who might have been at the parties, what really happened, how much baby oil, that shit ain't never going to get us to actually caring for victims and actually rooting out sexual predation. It doesn't.
That's real. Go ahead, Jimmy. I'll give you the last word on this.
Yeah, no, I was going to say to Dr. Lindsey, to your point, I think that's where we are in society. And I think where we always have been. I don't think at the root of it, people want to get rid of predatory behavior because it'll make so many people look at themselves, go, hey, well, I'm not a monster. So I think what we do is we go after the celebrity. It's the triumphant story of somebody rising to the top from obscurity, from the making it out the mud, and then you get to a certain point, and now like another generation don't fuck with you like that, and so they'll tear them down. And not to say I'm rightfully so, but we've seen this continuum throughout history, throughout celebrity, throughout political figures, throughout everybody who stays at the top of the mountain too long, and then people start peeling the layers of who they are down. So I don't think we get to a point where we actually address the root of the issue. I think it's just fun as a society when people rise to the top and then we do our damnedest to tear them down fiber by fiber until they don't exist anymore. But then somebody else does the same thing. But we never get to the root of the issue, which is like all this behavior that is ingrained in American culture. We don't want to do that, but we want to, build you up to take. It's fun. Like that is society's, like we just can, it's a continuum. As society, we love doing that.
I agree. Let's move on to another story because I know y'all got to run. Y'all actually go outside. I have some studying to do.
Nerd. No, I'm playing.
I love the two responses. Treva was like bullshit. Jameer's like nerd. The truth is somewhere in the middle. I'm actually not going to study, but I am going to watch Grey's Anatomy and read some books.
That's different.
whatever. Judge yourselves. The point is, I'm moving on to a new story. Do you all know Alexis Skyy?
Vaguely.
Alexis Skyy, the very famous and important Alexis Skyy from VH1.
Yeah.
Love and Hip Hop. She made a political endorsement on the radio, and she felt that it was important to let y'all know that she is on Team Trump. Here is what our dear sister said. You can't hear her right now, and it's probably for the best.
Okay.
But I guess I'll move turn. Why is that volume not working?
I can visualize it though.
You know what? Hold on 1 second, because this is important. This is saying some important stuff.
Okay.
She has a deep analysis of American politics. She has a radical critique of empire, and at the end of all of that, she has determined that the best mechanism for restoring any democratic possibilities in our fractured nation state is to support Donald John Trump. That is my read of what she said. She said a little different.
I'm gonna say she said it a little differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Dollar. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, she said that she's Team Trump. And not only did she say she was Team Trump, to be clear, this is to say that she encourages everyone to get out and vote so that there is no lack of clarity about the possibility of Trump winning. In other words, get out and vote so that to make sure Trump wins, you don't want the other people to win, is what she said. Let me see here.
I'm voting for Trump.
Oh,
I'm gonna pull up this. I'm just trying to get a good, clean one.
Clean John.
Wow.
What?
You have to do that.
Do what?
That was a anti-Philadelphia microaggression.
Anti? I went to Lincoln with all the boys.
That's like saying you have a white friend, a black friend.
That's not. Come on. I was in Philly. I was in those streets. Susquehanna. Okay. Cecil B. Moore.
Why were you in Susquehanna? You were buying drugs.
No. I had a friend who went to Temple.
Are you just gonna name the different stops?
Right. He's like, you going straight down the subway orange line and shit. I'm like, I was buying drugs. This nigga was looking for weed. He's like, I was in Susquehanna, Moore,
And then I
More.
Nigga, what?
with the Erie Broad, like what?
Come on, I was on the L train.
But I don't understand.
You sir were in the underground economy. I don't know what you were doing in the underground economy, but you were a part of the underground economy.
I went to Shampoo once.
Let's talk about
voting
it.
for Trump.
What's the energy behind it? What's the
Here's one from Kiss FM. Here's one. Shout out to Kiss FM. I'm going to steal your footage for a moment. You'll get over it. I don't care. I got beef with all of them. Here we go. This is Alexis Skyy breaking down why she is Team Trump.
But I'm voting for Trump.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get right to the point.
Let's talk about it.
Voting for Trump.
What's the energy behind it? What's the thought process
I
behind
just
it?
feel like when Trump was around, I just feel like things were different. But people have their opinion on him. I do think that Trump could be a little extra, but he gets the job done.
So do you have conversations with your friends about politics?
All my friends is voting for Trump. I feel like the younger generation, Trump has a lock.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, because it was more money flowing for us.
So what do you think is the reason why people aren't voting?
I think people talk about it like they want Trump, but some people are lazy and they don't want to get up and go vote, which voting does matter, because people don't realize if you don't go vote, there's a chance that the other person can win. So get up and go vote, because it's super important. If you want Trump to win, go vote for him. If you want the other one to win, then go vote for her.
All right. Well, there it is.
It was Kamala. I don't know how to say her name. I didn't want to
Kamala.
say it. Oh.
Vice President Kamala Harris.
Kamala. Is Kamala or Kamala? Kamala. But I'm voting for Trump.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get right to the point.
Let's talk about
voting
it.
for Trump.
So just added note there. They were shooting something, it ended, and then she says, what was her name? All that stuff at the end about Kamala Harris's name she thought wasn't being recorded. The fact that they released that part 2 tells you that whoever is in charge of video production at that radio station don't fuck with you either. But so Alexis Skyy says she's voting for Kamala. She's voting for Trump, excuse me. Support Trump. And the reason, Dr. Lindsey, is because the money was flowing when Donald Trump was the president. The money was flowing. Money was flowing.
I don't know how to seriously respond to this, right? And I never want to shade my sisters on their political analysis, but my goodness, this is dumb, right? This is dumb. It's not only untrue, it's just fucking dumb. And it's you know, one of those things where I'm just like, okay, sis, like, do you cash that check, whatever that is? And I love that the young people aren't falling for a girl. You allegedly 30, could be older. I don't know. Is that considered young? I'm not sure. Among voters. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't, as a voter, like, this would be, you know, this should be your fourth or so election if you started voting at 18. So, like, I don't know that you are constitutive of what I would consider the young voters who are like my students in OSU who are voting for the first time, who are energized in various ways about this. And if they're younger voters, what the economy is doing wouldn't have the impact, like the analysis of the economy being this, like if you were 18, 19, 20, like getting the STEMI is not necessarily the factor. You might be thinking about student loans, of which she has none. You might be thinking about
Dr. Lindsey made the chopper spray tonight.
It just blows my mind because it feels so disconnected from the reality. That clip at the end, you know, whatever you may feel about Vice President Harris, I'm like, on some Black girl shit, learn her fucking name. Like, your analysis is whack, but your deep disrespect in that moment, and I do think it is disrespectful. To that, and then to just ignore, like, you know, this is what is gonna be better for us as Trump. I'm like, a man who literally tried to overthrow an election is the man you're talking about, that Congress, you know, he had to go to war with Congress. Like, Congress got you the STEMI, boo. Like, that wasn't Trump. Left to his own devices, you would have gotten nothing. In fact, more of us would have died than did die during COVID. Let's remind ourselves that millions did die. And didn't have to. That was also under there. The police response to George Floyd, Breonna Taylor protests, and uprisings of 2020. We could go on. We could really, really go on. I don't know that she could, but if that's how she wants to show up, you know, and use her hard-earned vote, which I'm sure, you know, let's see if she votes. Good for her if she does. It's important. Wow. I'm sure Fannie Lou Hamer would be proud.
This wasn't what we call a bloodbath. Student loan debt, of which she has none. That's the most articulate read I've ever heard. Jameer, you've been a long time VH1 watcher and Trump supporter. How do you make sense of?
Didn't you host that show?
Wait!
You ain't do the recap show? In them suits? I saw you on a shoot on the recap show.
Multiple things here have been said that are untrue.
Oh, I bet.
Never been on Love and Hip Hop.
Do a recap. You didn't have nobody from
VH1 Live, which I was the host of.
Live.
Was not a recap show.
Having champagne with Mano by piano.
We were our only show.
I'm sorry.
We were our own exclusive show. And third, I never wore a suit on that show. Now, did I have members of Love and Hip Hop?
Yes.
Occasionally, yes.
Okay.
By occasionally, do I mean every night? Absolutely.
Okay.
Of a day.
But did I take them seriously? Yes. However,
I know. I watched the show.
You were my viewers. You were one of my viewers. I had 3 viewers.
We're not saying it. I'm not saying that someone from Love and Hip Hop shouldn't have an opinion on this. I'm not. That's
Love and Hip Hop should have an opinion on this, Dr. Lindsey.
Excuse me?
Who from Love and Hip Hop should have an opinion on this?
No, everyone should have an opinion on this, because getting out to vote or whatever decision that you make should be informed. Like, I'm hoping that people, irrespective of their positions, would, or wherever they are, whatever job they are, if you're somebody who considers themselves, I don't know, an adult who is able to vote, I am hopeful that you've made a conscientious decision about what that looks like for you, whatever your voting plan is. And if that's like, I've made a conscientious decision to abstain from voting, I'm like, what? I want you to have that. I'm not in a good position. I'm not articulating a position.
As an abstract principle, yeah, I want everybody to have access to the vote. Everyone should be able to vote for who they want. But in real life, like, I don't want Trump people to have access to shit. Like,
I am not in any way here endorsing or encouraging people to vote for that ridiculous human being. However, I am saying that if she got on there and had some kind of opinion that led somewhere, that started from something that was even remotely possibly true, then perhaps we could have a different conversation.
I feel you. I feel that.
He is not. And therefore, that's why I said this is dumb, right? I'm refraining from calling her dumb. I'm refraining from the kinds of ways that I feel like women in celebrity reality economies are treated, and folks as if some of them are playing a role, playing a character, getting a check, doing whatever. That's fine. She got on there and said something really uninformed and then encouraged other people to be uninformed and make a dumb decision with her.
And that's my issue. Like, Donald Trump, money was not flowing when Donald Trump was there.
It actually wasn't.
And as you pointed out, the stimmies didn't come from Donald Trump. They came from Congress. And Jameer, again, I return to you as someone who received 3 stimmies under 3 different names. How do you make?
Oh my gosh!
How do you when you see stuff like this? When you watch people, one, use their platform for this, but also get a platform for this type of shit.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel?
I mean, I could have went my whole life without seeing this. I think that number one. Number 2, though, I think most importantly is that when you tell people like, yo, your vote matters, this is what you get. This is the product of your vote matters. You give people license and a platform to be able to say at the top of their lungs, you know, this is who I'm voting for and this is why. And we just heard Alexis Skyy. Now,
here's another thing I didn't like, Jameer. Here's another thing I didn't like. Again, she thought the drop was over, or the little interview clip was over.
Yeah, man.
And then when it was over, she said, "What's her name? Camila, blah 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 blah." Here's the thing. I get if you don't know JD Vance's name. I get if you don't know Tim Walz's name, right? Because like, but Kamala Harris is the fucking vice president right now.
Are you surprised?
Yeah.
Are you surprised?
Not knowing the vice president's name is wild to me. That's all I would say. It's wild to me.
Come on, man. You've traveled around this country before. Are you surprised?
That a black girl doesn't know the first black woman vice president? Yeah, I am a little bit.
Then we just had a whole conversation about
Jamaican too.
Right.
Jamaican.
He's Jamaican. Like
Jamaican.
Here's the thing. If you pronounce her name Kamala like she's like the wrestler,
like the wrestler,
like,
yeah.
That's problematic to me at this point because it feels passive aggressive. But at least I can at least understand how you get there, right? You at least are familiar with her, but to not know her name at all, like you never, I don't know. I guess I just
almost like she's never really interacted with politics before, huh?
Maybe that she's never voted before.
Almost.
Who knows?
Who knows, right? Yeah. Almost.
And I think that's what I find so wild, like, and frustrating.
I mean, all right, if we just look at the political landscape, first of all, we know that both candidates have, well, let me not say both. I know Vice President Harris has been doing several media tours on long form media and also mainstream media. But you watch, like I was watching, I think Trump was on like this Barstool show. I can't remember the name, so I'm not even gonna plug them. But like they spoke about football, weight training, and then he just like bashed everybody. Like, and I'm like, with no pushback. It's like an hour long, and you know, you watch this, and you know, I'm sure by now the video has over 1 million views. But when you look at the political landscape and you look at just like where we are in America and society, people don't care. People don't care. They don't want to be informed. They know that, like what she said, President Trump got this generation lit, or whatever it was. I'm paraphrasing, but like, what is that? Like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. It's like,
I have no idea.
I don't know what that means, but I do know that there's millions of people who have already made up their mind. And no matter how much you sit down and try to give them, exert your effort and say, hey, look at the policy, look at what he's trying to do, look at what, whatever the case is, on both sides, people made up their mind. Alexis Skyy has made up her mind, Marc Lamont Hill.
And I guess I'm disgusted by her mind. All right.
Yes, there's a lot to be disgusted by in those comments, the lack of uninformed, but she's not singular again in being informed. That's not the first time I've heard. It won't be the last time that we will hear that the money was flowing under Trump. This, that, and the third. Like, there's so much there. And I want to speak to her like woman to woman. I was like, you are someone that had and has a child, right, who has very specific medical challenges. What Trump's planning to do would make life even more difficult for you as a mother and for your child. You are someone who was the victim of human trafficking at 18, right? You under Trump, what that would look like, right? Like, there's certain realities that, I want to get in a room with people and have these kinds of conversations. And that's not the room that was going to do it either. They just going to let it rock, right? Like that's just what it is, right? Like what you saying, like, oh, okay, really? Like, that's it. There's no engagement there. So this wasn't an opportunity for voter education. This was a dumb fucking moment on a dumb fucking show. And that's kind of where we are in our political landscape. It's a dumb fucking show.
Got them clicks.
I think that's the period. One last thing, and I know if you got to run, Dr. Lindsey, I understand. But I got a phone call from an African American. That's all I'm gonna say. A certain Afro-American.
Afro-American.
Yeah, Afro-American.
Or African. Okay.
The Afro-American, the American Negro of slave stock. He contacted me. I don't know. We were just shooting the shit. And he said to me that he had some thoughts on the hip hops, as he put it. That's a quote. That's a quote.
The hip hop.
That's what he said.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, a nigga told me. And he said that in his estimation, the top, you know what? I mean, I'm going to read it because I don't want later to be accused of slander or misrepresentation. And for the record, although it should be clear by now, that said Negro is Jameer Pond.
You called me an Afro-American?
You are an Afro-American. You're not even African-American. You are Afro-American.
Afro.
Yeah. Freddie Jackson was winning Artist of the Year, New Artist of the Year around the time that you got your identity. Let me see. Here's what this Negro said to me. I'm going through our tweets, our texts, because we had a very long text exchange. And somehow there's a Vanilla Ice video here. I don't know why.
I sent it to you because you say you were a fan.
That's just hurtful.
Hey, you did say you were a fan.
I don't think so. Okay, here's what I said.
Cool as ice.
I did. That's not what I said.
Come on now. You going to sit up here and lie?
The lies that come out of this man's mouth. But here we are. So he said to me, out of nowhere, it's like literally the memes be like nobody, and then Jameer. This was like out of nowhere, apropos of nothing. Mm-hmm. He said, I already know you feel Jay's discography is better than Ye West's, right? How much better do you think it is?
And what'd you say?
I don't remember, but what you said is
that's an amazing question.
No. Hold on.
The gap isn't super big. Some of it is just
you're focused on the wrong parts here.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. My fault.
You said I'm thinking. You said if I'm thinking of a top 5, Kanye is in there for me. And then I asked if if Kanye West is higher than Jay-Z on your list,
Mhm.
and you said yes.
What did I say specifically?
You said today, I would say he is.
I said today.
Do you feel like that? All right. How about today? Do you still feel like that way?
I still feel that way.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that brings us to the last topic here.
Of all time, I didn't say that though.
You know what? That's not my banner. So I'm going to
Okay.
Now you're just gonna throw the producer under the bus. Just
You over here lying, leaving stuff out.
damn.
Things wrong.
Yeah. I get what they meant. What they meant was between the two of them, who's better all time. But I get how that sounds. I get how that sounds. I'm sorry. This the sake's in the system.
And I didn't even say the better MC. We were talking about discography. We should preface.
You know what? I'm gonna write it the way you say it. Who has the better? Can I just put catalog? Because everybody doesn't have fancy words like Jameer Pond and Treva Lindsey.
Discography?
Stop saying that word. You're just trying to disrespect me now.
I'm sorry, man.
How about who has the better body of work?
Okay.
Well,
I know what
that could get a little trickier in the conversation. Not for me, but I think because then
as an MC,
right? I was like, I feel like you have to clarify that if you're going to say MC to MC, because then Kanye has production, which is just a different
exactly.
All right, y'all got me live editing shit. This is why I can't profess that. Who has the better rapper catalog? It's this is down with terrible fucking lower third, but it's fine.
It's not okay.
You know what?
What did you say, Jay-Z or Ye?
Look, we can preface it ourselves.
All right. I'm also doing this so that when we edit it for cut downs, everything that's preceded this won't happen. So
got it.
All right, y'all. So it's time for the conversation that Jameer has made me have, which is Jay-Z or Kanye West, Ye or Hov? Who has the better catalog as a rapper? I'm going to start with you, Jameer Pond, because you not just initiated but instigated this this engagement.
Yeah. You hated it so much that you put it on your show.
I loved it. I'll be honest, I ain't gonna lie.
Thank you.
I love the idea of it because it's so absurd that it warrants being put on the show. You believe that when you make your top 5 or top 10 or top 100, that Ye is above Hov for you. Is that correct?
No, what I was saying is like in terms of better body of work, like we talked about discography. I think, and I had, you know what? And I'll read to you what I said in terms of actual breakdown so that there could be preference.
You gonna make me break, man.
You mentioned you were like, he's terrible at rapping. I said, yeah.
You meaning Kanye West, to be clear.
Yes, Kanye. I say, yeah, the rapping is like, we talk about a rubric out of 10 for me. I say, yeah, the rapping's like a 5.5 for me. He's a change agent though. Discography is probably about an 8.8. Production, and I'm counting all the production of all the albums, is probably about an 8. Innovation is probably a 10. Influence is probably a 12. Originality is probably a 12. He's probably the most complete artist in the last 20 years. You can make that argument, not rapper, but artist. So that's what I said. And I said that because I was looking at a lineage. And I think in the last 20 years, 2 of the most influential rappers of today's style and today's influence have been Kanye West, Ye, and Lil Wayne. It's like a direct lineage from the Carter 2 to Carter 3 and 808s and Heartbreaks, Yeezus, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And I think what we have is just like overall, you see more of an influence as an artist today. And I always go back to this discussion where we talk about, I was like, well, how much does originality and innovation count when you talk about the best? And when I look at the discography, Ye had like 3 to 4 different generational movements. It was the first 3 albums, which was like a new innovative thing. Then it was 808s and Heartbreaks specifically. I think without 808s and Heartbreaks, you know, it's like Kid Cudi and Ye together influenced the whole generation, whether you like it or not. You wouldn't have had Drake, to be honest, in terms of sound. And we know what Drake has done in terms of sound and music. And so, like, these are real pillars and cornerstones, but also My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which I thought was a change agent. Yeezus, which is a change agent, whether you like it or not, is still, you can still see the branches off of that tree. Travis Scott, who had a Grammy nominated album last year. And I have no reason to praise Travis Scott. He kicked me off stage, but the influence of Utopia.
You gotta tell that story because I don't think people know that story.
Oh, okay. All right, but I'll say this and I'll tell the story. But Yeezus was a big influence of Utopia. And so we still seeing the lineage almost 20 years later. What I was saying about Jay as an artist, and when it comes to discography, I mean, Jay is Jay. He's a top 5 MC no matter where you put it. For me personally, I don't think Kanye West is a better rapper. I don't think Kanye West is a better lyricist. But if I'm looking at the body of work,
overall greatness.
It's just strictly an MC, but as an artist, overall production, influence, style, innovation, I think there's a lot of things that can make a case for Kanye West's discography. I mean, whether you like it or not, it's not an off question. It's not like you said.
I mean, it's not the craziest thing you've ever said.
I know it's not.
But I don't.
It's not.
You know, before I even say anything, Dr. Lindsey, first of all, when you think about your great ones, if you make a top 5 or top 100, you know, start with, you know, whoever at the top, you know, so and so in the middle, all the way down to the bottom, where you might have like Horse or something.
From Bravehearts?
Yeah, or Ali from Saint Lunatics. I don't know.
What?
Somebody.
Whoa.
Strange for no reason.
Wait.
Somebody.
Why are people catching strays? Let's focus.
Okay, I'll focus. I'll refocus. No disrespect. Nas is my brother. I love Nas. I think Horse can't rap. But you know what?
Better verse on Uchiwali, though.
His verse on Uchiwali was respectable. Obviously, it wasn't better than Nas's. That was some bullshit that Jay-Z said. But
I don't know.
Okay, so
I'm not getting into that. Where does Hov rank versus Ye? That's the question for you.
I mean, for me, right, to answer the question on your little ticker, like, I think it's...
Why gotta be a little ticker? Why do my ticker have to be little?
On my screen.
See, this is the shit Umar be talking about. This is the shit podcast bros be talking about. Why must the black man be disrespected? Why must the black man be disrespected? Why must the black man be disrespected? I gotta get 3 in.
Yes, that is true.
Why my ticker gotta be little?
Because it literally is on my screen. That's how it looks right now.
You know what?
It is the smallest thing on my screen, pretty much. This is
what happens, right? It can't be a job. It got to be your little job. It can't be your friends. Got to be your little friends. This is why the black man feels the way he feels. But I'm going to move on based on the lower third, like Chiron, as we say in the biz. Who has the better rap catalog?
Can I speak now, black man?
Oh,
that's what we've been waiting for. That's the shit we've been asking for. Yes.
I mean, we started with your love for the show. Started with your love for
my Milk and Magnesia princess.
Yeah, so
yes,
you you're hitting it all out of the park tonight, sir.
She invented the game of basketball,
and I feel like
She was there with Naismith with a fucking peach basket. Yes, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, got it.
Oh my God, yo.
Certainly been put on a podcast. So I'm just going to stick to your little question. So as I was saying, the rapper part of it for me is not even close. I really don't like Kanye as a rapper. Like I really like, it's annoying. I find it really grating and like listen to me, gotta never be in the pocket. So I can't with that. I think production wise, there's an incredible body of work. I would never deny this. A friend of mine, another scholar, a friend of ours, Dr. Hill, Dr. Ford and I had this conversation because she really, enjoys a lot of Kanye's production. And I think there's something to be said about that. I think to Jameer's point about what he's influenced and innovate, I don't disagree with that. But what's funny about that is like, when you were like, whether you like it or not, is like the innovation that he did has taken a lot of music, taken us in directions that have not been particularly enjoyable for me. Mm-hmm. And so I think that innovation, or when someone says something is historic, that doesn't always mean it's good. It can be new. It can be something that has offshoots and grows in particular ways and is successful. I would never say Travis Scott or Drake are not successful. They absolutely are. But they're not folks I put in my conversation of like artistry and the thing. It feels like it almost created more of a formula and a way of thinking about music that even some of their stuff lacks the kind of musicality that a Kanye does have. A real attention to soul, a real attention to the samples that he's engaging, and obsession with it that does come across in his music. And what you get is derivative of that and watered down versions of that and issues of that. And they figured out a formula that works with that. It's really hard to mimic what it is Jay does as a rapper. That's so interesting. And I think what has a staying power of that for me, it's not as much variation for sure, but he's, even at his mediocre lyricism, he is better than most. Mm-hmm. And that to me means that I go back to far more Jay songs for me than I do Kanye songs as a rapper. Production wise, I don't really have to sit with that, where I put him. And I was trying to think like his songs with Jay-Z, most are not even my favorites of Jay-Z's. You know what I mean? Like where they match in and go into that, because I think they're actually two very different artists, which means that, Watch the Throne has these really interesting moments, but some of those moments feel very clashing of styles. And so there's something not as dynamic as I was hoping might come out of that when those two really got to put their creativity together. It feels like a forced arrangement to me when they're actually doing it together.
Yeah, I think that the question is more interesting if you say first 3 albums, maybe even first 5 albums, right? I think you can make a case that Kanye, just as an artistic product, has put out, had a opening run of 5 albums that I think is not just unparalleled in rap, but might legitimately be unparalleled across a lot of genres. I think that he's done some special stuff, right? College Dropout is genuinely an extraordinary album. Late Registration, a great album. Graduation, a special album. I think his rapping gets better by Graduation, although on Late Registration's rapping is a lot better than it is on College Dropout. College Dropout, I just don't think he raps well. Like, he doesn't rap like a professional. He's more Bronny James. You know what I mean? Oh, God. What?
I don't agree with that, but go ahead. I'm gonna let you.
I'm just saying. I think
Bronny though. Come on, man.
What is that a bad? Is that a? I was going to say he's more Bronny James than Boldy James. You know what I'm saying? Like his. God. Come on, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. His. He doesn't rap like a professional rapper. He's not in the pocket. He just doesn't do a lot of things that feel good. Now, there are moments where I've heard Ye destroy verses. I mean, Run This Town, he destroys the verse. I would say he's extremely in the pocket. In what's the song? I stretch, work, yoga. Hove has his amazing verse, but what's the name of that song? It'll come to me in a second, but I'm looking it up. That's why it's gonna come to me. Hate. The song, the song "Hate" by Jay-Z on Blueprint 3, the album that Jameer and I disagree on.
You said it was the best Blueprint.
I did not say that. That's crazy talk. The first Blueprint is the best Blueprint. I just thought that the third Blueprint wasn't a bad album. I thought it was better than the second Blueprint and a really good Jay-Z album.
Right, that's what we disagreed on.
Yeah. You don't think it's a good Jay-Z album, but anyway, all that said,
I gave it away.
All that said, for me, para mí, digo yo, I think that if you look at Jay-Z's full body of work and Ye's full body of work, they're not really on the same level, particularly as rappers. And I'm not just talking about skill, because Jay-Z's just a more skilled rapper, so it's always going to be better. I'm saying when I think about Reasonable Doubt, and I think about the Black Album, and I think about the Blueprint, and I think about American Gangster, just those 4 albums, for me, Ye's don't compare. I think my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is probably one of those that ranks maybe even above Jay-Z's. That may be the best rap album of that decade. But again, a lot of the genius of the album is the production, not the rapping.
Right. Which is why I never said like who's the better MC or who I have ranked better as an MC. I specifically said artist because I think overall, like if you paint a picture, it's like, yeah, I think Ye is a lackluster rapper. Or if we comparing him to Jay-Z, yes, I think like it's not even comparable. It's not
compare him to AZ, it's fine.
Okay, but
compare him to AC Green, it's fine.
He doesn't rap.
Compare him to AJ Calloway.
Okay.
I mean, like,
but no. But if we're looking at, but there's a reason why, like, there's always a list, and those albums that he made are always ranked super high, sometimes even higher than Hove's albums. If we're looking at like person generated lists because of the influence and the feeling, like I don't think you have to be the best rapper to have an impact. You always make this argument about Tupac. Always. You always said that he's not a good or lyrical rapper, but the impact that he left is, you can't fuck with it. He's one of the most influential rap artists and artists of all time. So when we look at the scope of artistry and discography, yeah, you don't have to be the best rapper. I never said he was the best rapper, but as an artist, when we talk about production, when we talk about concept albums and flow, skits, cohesive albums that make staples. College Dropout is a cohesive album with skits, like the humor in it, the different levels of colors, how Late Registration carried on from that, how like those first 3 albums, unfuckwittable. If we talk about 3-album run with a narrative, how much points do you get for that?
There's Tribe. There's a very
sure
list of people.
He's in that conversation. He's in that conversation. And then on the 4th album to totally change your sound.
Treva, before we go, how much does it play into your calculation that Kanye doesn't write this shit?
It plays, but it doesn't play that much. If you have good pairing and this, again, because it can't rap to me, so it just doesn't. Better. And I do think he gets better. I don't think that assessment is wrong. And I do think those 3 albums as a concept altogether make a lot of sense. Like, I would never deny that. I am admittedly someone who has never been a Kanye West fan. So I want to be very transparent about that. I think he ushers in a particular kind of melodious misogyny that's like really hard to like navigate around, even when I'm trying to enjoy it. Like, it's embedded in his music in a particular way, and it moves between this like, haha, I'm like this guy, I'm so good, let me in, hey, and then like, I'm the best to ever do it, bitch. You a hoe. Like it's a lot for me, even when it comes to like the production and the concept of it all. I think there's still something in there that keeps him out of the conversation with Jay for me in a significant way, even if he were the writer behind it. I think he is a concept person behind it. I think and there are other ways to think about that with him. I don't
know. A rapper who shall remain nameless told me one time, yeah, we was all chilling. Ye was like, yo, I'm going to shopping. When I come back, I need 10 songs. Like,
but like, okay, can we also say that is not a foreign concept in hip hop though? Like,
not, but when we talk about the GOAT,
no, but like we talk about, all right, Snoop. Like, I'm not saying Snoop is the GOAT, but Snoop probably one of the most famous rappers in the world. Snoop has openly admitted that for his album, I think it was Ego Trippin', that he had people write for him, and he had people write every song for him on the album. And like this is as a thing, like people put so much claims on ghostwriters, and you know what? To be the best, I think that you do have.
Yeah, but let's be clear for context. But for context, that was Snoop's 9th album. It came out in 2008, if I remember correctly.
For sure.
I mean, or 2009, 2008, 2009. I mean, Snoop is 107 years old.
So okay, so there's a cap when you should start handing over your shit. What about
your best shit should not be written by somebody else? If you told me somebody else did Doggy Style, I'd be like, okay, I would think it's different.
He didn't. It wasn't like he had hella bars on that. He was Izzle and Kizzling on the whole album.
No, I'm
not allowing that.
No. Give me a fire setup punchline from Doggy Style. Bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
That I mean, look, no. Now the misogyny of Doggy Style, I'll give you.
Give me a bar. I want to hear a bar.
But if you go back and listen to What's My Name as an actual. So all right. First of all,
you tell me.
Snoop's gift was flow. It was that he had a laid back flow. He was always in the pocket.
Okay. Doggy Style, I'm not a rapper. You're not gonna get me on here doing bars or whatever.
Right, he trying to set us up.
We
talk about pen and lyrics.
But I'm saying like cleverness. Snoop is actually extraordinarily playful in this. And even like when I say melodious misogyny, he's in that category too, of like songs I listened to where I was like, I'm just thinking this is right. I get the back into the chick named Sadie. Used to be my homeboy's lady. 80 degrees when I said of these none of these at ease.
Boy, man.
It's just, because flip it and make it do different things. It's that
down the street.
I mean, there's a great comedian moment where someone's like adding the hook to that, smoking endo. That's it. It's like one line and that's it. But it is his flow. It is just coming in 1, 2, 3 into the 4. Like it just is. There is an intangible thing. I would agree with that. There are lines from Snoop that I find and still say randomly all the time.
Are you kidding me? Yes.
And the thing that got him where he is because it is the flow for sure. It's how he sounds, but it's also the playfulness of it. He was a very stark contrast to like even the more like aggressive sounding. Like for West Coast sound, he actually does something very different, right? Like very different. And I think he rides that in a very particular way. He's humorous in a way. Again, I know I'm listening to hip hop, so I'm always going to be encountering misogyny. Like I've conceded that as something that I engage when I'm engaging in all of pop culture.
Yeah, choice, right?
Specifically hip hop, because it's a culture that I feel invested in. Mm-hmm. And I think there are ways that I have found it musically more interesting and more dynamic. And there is a very like something in Kanye's play with it, because I think he's doing that thing of playing against it and for it at the same time. And it actually comes out in production, in skits, in music, in the 808, My Dark Twisted Fantasy, like all of that, like has a really, really, really unplayful way of engaging that same thing. So it's harder for me to listen to than the routine melodious misogyny that I got accustomed to being comes up on hip hop in the late 80s and early 90s, right? Like it's different. That doesn't make it better.
Yeah.
But I will not stand for this. Snoop was not a rapper. No. Snoop was nobody sounded like him. Nobody sounded like him.
For sure.
Snoop was the biggest rapper on the planet in 92.
I'm not
wasn't even close.
But I'm not doubting that. But I'm saying though, like if you found out, like if I found out that like Snoop didn't write Doggy Style, like my heart wouldn't be broken because I knew that there's nobody who can replicate his flow, his sound.
So
like that's
the example. I give you that to you when I say like, you know, earlier, especially earlier, Lil Kim. Lil Kim for me is somebody who you can't tell me can't out rap most people. Like she raps, nobody raps like her. Like I can recite Lil Kim verses like out of nowhere. I randomly do to get myself hyped on stuff, right? It does not matter to me that she is not the writer for some of my favorite bars because no one can say them like her. No one can deliver it like her. No one shows up like her. But I will say I got more curious when she starts writing more, like what her voice actually would say. Right? Like what that actually does mean. I am curious in that way about her as a writer. But like
I want to know what her voice sound like, but the shit that Biggie wrote for her, the shit that whoever
come on. Queen Bitch is one of my favorite songs ever. I be in the mirror rapping Queen Bitch.
There we go.
I'll pay to see you talking about Queen Bitch. Queen Bitch.
Oh, fire. Come on, we're not gonna act like who wrote it. She made it fire.
I don't care.
What's your favorite Lil Kim verse? What's your favorite Lil Kim verse? Each of y'all.
Queen Bitch.
He said, "Nigga, you not listening." What's yours?
Not listening.
You have a penchant for favorites and in your questioning. I've had this on your in Books podcast and this and that I'm very bad at favorites. The one I probably is a tie. The two I recite the most. Probably It's All About the Benjamins, right? And that's not her song. So that is
with the V, huh?
That's ridiculously hard.
That's All Black Like the Omen is just a line that I say at least once a month.
Have your friends singing "This Is for My Home."
Woman.
It's so sick. Okay, but so in addition, I'll say from her, like the song that shook me up when I first heard it, and this is off the debut album, was absolutely Big Mama Thing.
Oh man.
Like you just start the shit. I used to be scared of the dick.
Not though.
Where we start?
Handle it like a what?
Bitch. Have a Hunter, Jenna Jackney taking it. Like, come on. Like,
come on.
So that verse.
Part, and then definitely Quiet Storm remix. My God.
Oh my God. Quiet Storm fire.
I take MC Light to kick it off. Like it's citational.
Here we go again.
I'm a leader. Y'all some following shit coming in this game off some modeling shit. To the top.
100%.
Yeah, Lil Kim. I mean, I think for me, most of that is Biggie. And it makes me wonder. One, that's not taking anything away from Kim. Nobody can deliver that shit like Kim. I mean, Diddy is the case example, right? Diddy had the access to every rapper in the world to write his shit, and it sounds stupid every time. Sounds like trash. Every verse sounds. I mean, the best verse I think Puff has ever done is "The World Is Filled."
That was a fire verse.
I'm kind of agree. Yeah.
Right. And it still ain't as good as Biggs or Too Short. Right? I had a whole lot of, like come on, man.
Disclaimer: we are all not rappers.
All right, I got a bottle of sake in me. At this point, the sake's empty. Just for the record, it started full. Oh my God, that song itself and the ad libs at the end. I'm 30 years old.
You really been listening back to it.
He listened right before this.
I'm gonna have to edit this, but
yeah.
But my favorite Mary verse,
Mary?
Mary?
My favorite Kim verse.
I can love you.
Right. I mean, spoiler alert, right? My favorite Lil Kim verse is Mary J. Blige, I Can Love You. That for me is my favorite. And I think it's my favorite because I don't think Biggie wrote it. I don't know who wrote it, but I think, it's still Biggie's flow. Yeah, Biggie wrote it. But
do it matter?
No.
Okay.
I like to convince myself that's a moment where she wrote for herself. But
it don't even matter because nobody could do that like she did.
Literally nobody, right? But that for me is
he is actually, unlike a lot of songs, he is not cited on that song. Like he's not credited. I do know that.
That's true. But it's very much his flow, his wordplay, his references.
It is, but it's also keep in mind like Kim's the complexity of this, sure, of Kim's relationship with Big, and I want to hold that right in a second. But like, as complicated as their relationship was, she's also like they have a relationship. Like she could learn certain things, even if she's patterning herself in that way. Like, she is gonna sound like, because even once he's gone, there are definitely verses of hers I'm like, yo, that's so big coming through. Like it really is her most intimate connection to hip hop, right? As a rapper. So it's not shocking that a verse would come out and it would have that flow. So his impact is like that imprint is on Kim. That's real.
No, that's real. And that might be my favorite part about it is that she, even by the time you get to Quiet Storm, which Big definitely didn't write because Big had died by March of 97.
Mm-hmm.
By the time that comes out, clearly he didn't write that. But there's some pieces of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
An old competitor. Like, that's a big
like
that's a big shit.
That's big.
You know what I mean? But like I love the way she flows in that voice. I love the wordplay, and I love the way Big wrote for her when we used to hear like the reference vocals to like Queen Bitch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, I don't care. It also made me wonder about Big. One day I'm gonna find time to write an essay on sort of Big and sort of what it meant for Big to be writing as a Black woman. Or what he thought Black women should be sounding like, because a lot of it still sound like male fantasy, right? It was right. It was pretty much like
that's what he
said. The nastiest, freakiest shit I think I'd want a woman to say to me, and then rap it. You know what I'm saying? But still, for Big to do that was still courageous in a certain kind of way that very few artists do. But yeah,
so
I don't know.
So real quick, just a question to circle back. If we put in reference to Lil Kim, I don't want to say favorite, but like I would say we would rank Lil Kim pretty high on the all-time.
Not me, no.
Okay.
Not me. If we talk about greatest MCs, no, because of the writing thing.
Right.
See, but like I can't.
Same reason Ye ain't up there for me.
Yeah, but I can't. You like the mark of like I understand writing, but you cannot ignore the impact of the influence. We still seeing it. We see way more Lil Kims than we do Lauryn Hills, and for better or worse, you can.
Lauren's a better rapper.
Yeah, but again, we talking about. I'm saying artists. My whole thing was an artist overall.
Okay, fair enough.
I definitely get that. I hear you. I mean, and I'm
an artist that changes things a little bit.
That's the whole point.
Kim probably moves above or is at least parallel with Lauren as artists.
As artists, yes, I would agree with that. I think that's fair because again, if you're thinking about impact, when we were talking about hip hop at the end of our conversation last time, I said Missy is extraordinarily high on my list because music sounds different without Missy. Yeah. Like it literally sounds different. R&B sounds different. Flow, Lil Wayne sounds different without Missy.
That's his favorite rapper.
Right? And so I think that there's real, like, you take out 757 in hip hop and you have a whole different hip hop and R&B of the last few years. That's Neptunes, that's Kimbo, that's Missy. It sounds completely different. And I think there's a reason for that, right? That you have that talent is tapped into in that way. And so Missy for me always ends up in like, when I do these lists, because I'm like, best MCs, like I could sit here and name people and that works. And I think that's fair. I think that's fair if people are using that criteria. I think that's why I'm like, I don't have the visceral reaction to the Kanye Jay-Z thing, because I'm like, I understand how someone could make the argument from an artist standpoint. It's not my argument, but I understand why you could. Because if somebody was going to tell me that Missy isn't one of the most impactful artists of the last 30 years, I would argue you down. Like I would literally argue you down.
Yeah, I think that'd be right.
Why, right? Like easily point out why. Lil Kim is the tree that begets so many of my favorites right now. You don't get the Glorilla album. You don't get Sounding Like This. You don't get Nicki. You don't get Doja. You don't get the fashion references. You don't any of that, right? And it just doesn't happen. And I mean, bringing that level of high fashion to hip hop and couture, that's him. That is him. So, and Lauren is a whole trajectory in herself. There's a whole link that comes out of that as well. So I think its impact and artist influence are very distinct things, particularly when you talk about favorites. Like Lil Kim is a favorite. I rap more Lil Kim than I do Lauryn Hill, but I would say Lauryn Hill, it ain't even a question if she's the better rapper. Like that's not even a question for me. But if I'm at...
But Lil Kim ain't no fucking joke though.
That's
if I'm driving down the street on the highway trying to stay awake, I'm pumping, you know,
that first
put your lighters up, I'm pumping, crazy. You know what I mean? Whatever Lil Kim shit you want to hear, Queen, you know what I mean, Queen B, I mean, whatever, like all of that.
Yeah. I mean, Crush on You is both a song, the remix, of course, not the one that's on that damn album with Lil C's right there.
All Lil C's. And what's they wrote that for? And Cameron wrote that. Yeah.
I mean, it's just so damn good. But the visuals of that moment, like it's really, that's a moment. And it's a moment for me as what we called elder millennials, exennials, whatever it is. Like it's really attached to my own, like coming into self, the brashness, the Black girlness of it all. Like it just felt so grounded. And I do, like you, I'm look forward to that piece, Marc, if you write that about Biggie writing from the perspective of like a young Black woman coming of age in that moment. And I think he did capture something. Yes, there are parts of it that feel very fantasy, very cis heterosexual male projecting fantasy onto it. But it also, there's some things in there that feel very Black girl. That feel very, very Black girl. And so I'm like, you know, what was the collaboration that we don't get to hear about in that? Like,
that's what I want to ask Kim about. I've only interviewed Lil Kim once, and it was on the red carpet at VH1 something or other. I don't remember. Right.
For him?
It was right. What'd you say?
When you was working for him, because you had made that comment before that.
Yeah. I see the callback.
It's a callback to it. It's a callback.
I definitely, but I remember wishing I had more time with Kim to ask her about that kind of stuff in a different context. Because that's my question. Aretha Franklin used to talk about this, and she said that when she connected, and Lauren said when she connected with Aretha, she found out that they both had this shared experience of writing shit, doing shit, not getting credited for it, or having the kind of male power figures. Obviously, for Aretha, it was the men at Atlantic Records, right? Shit in Columbia. For Lauren, it was, a whole fleet of people. And there's debates about that, obviously. But at the end of the day, Black women often talk about how their genius is either co-opted or gets credited to someone else. And so I'd love to hear Kim talk about what it meant to collaborate with Biggie. Like, all right, Biggie comes in and says, X, Y, and Z. And again, with the reference vocals, it becomes a little more challenging. But as you get to maybe I Can Love You, because who knows when that verse was written? That song could have been a year old, 2 years old.
Yeah.
It feels like Biggie, but I'm like, what is Kim adding to that? When you get to the fashion shit,
everything. Kim
knows more about that fashion shit than Biggie did for women. So is she throwing that stuff in there, right? Because that's not a small thing.
Like, what dude? I'm thinking like Adrian Vittadini. Like,
right?
It's not Gucci. It's not Louis. It's none of the Dapper Dan not color. It's not any of the right designers that we're thinking that. Adrian Vittadini at that moment is a very particular designer that I am telling you, Lil Kim is telling you, this is what I wear. This is what I got on. This is what I'm like. There are things that are in conversation with that. And I hate that we haven't gotten to hear that story.
Right.
I wrote a piece years ago for the 20th anniversary of Lil Kim's debut album and Foxy Brown's debut album because they were within a week of each other. Back in November of 1996.
Yeah.
And I was, one of the things they're like, you got to address that neither one of them wrote. And I was like, I was trying to figure out a way to talk about this in ways that there is a history. We have an archive. Yeah. And also, like, how do we talk about these young women in ways that don't completely evacuate any sense of agency or creativity from them?
Right. They was doing more than just reading lyric sheets.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, like,
it's not fair. And there's a scrutiny that's on them that's literally not on any of these other rap. I mean, Kanye and now Drake and other folks, you get these conversations more now about who's writing for you and who's that. But I'm like, how many of these men in hip hop can we go back and have this same conversation about?
That's what I was saying. This is ingrained in the fabric of hip hop. We're not going to act like this just started popping up where people was borrowing and not writing. Like, literally, Big Bang Hank from, the hip hop, the Hibbit, stole Grandmaster Cash's rhyme.
Right. But it's not just, but see, even the kinds of men, though, it's not just stealing rhymes. There were men who were popped up to be hip hop acts. I'll give you an example. Herbie Lovebug wrote for Salt and Pepper. Mm-hmm. So everybody says Salt and Pepper got written for, but so did Kid and Play.
This is what I'm saying. But either way, were they hot? Yes. They was fire. At one point in time.
Although Salt and Pepper was a lot hotter than Kid and Play.
For sure. I'm not disagreeing with that. But like, if you look at at the point where House Party came out and things like, they were some of the biggest artists on the planet. Yeah. Whether they pen lyrics or not.
Yeah. I mean, for me as artist, I'm good with that. As an MC, it does matter to me.
Yes. MC.
As an MC.
We all agree.
And that's where Drake falls out of my top anything.
For sure.
Because I don't know. I'm very confused. I mean, Drake writes for other people, and Drake has a gifted pen.
Yeah.
But I also don't know. But I've seen too many instances where it's been proven that he didn't write songs that we think are just crazy. And so for me,
can I ask a question? Can someone help me because I'm this may be a longer and maybe another episode of your show at some point, but I'm just curious. These, groundbreaking Drake songs, from that standpoint, what are they? And I'm genuinely asking. Like a song, people are like, this does this thing, right? Like, I can actually name that for Kanye. Like, I actually have a sense of what I'm like, oh, this is sonically.
I don't get it with Drake because my favorite Drake, I mean, I will say I have been in occupied palace. I was walking through Khalil, through Hebron, right? In the midst of vicious occupation. I remember in the summer of 2018, I don't want to say it wrong, maybe 2018. It was either summer 2018 or 2017. But I remember walking through Hebron, walking past the Ibrahimi Masjid. There were at least 5 kids sitting on the side of a vendor site. Never been to America. I don't think they've been to Jordan. And they were literally on the side like, Kiki, do you love me? Are you right? And I was like, yo, this nigga hit it. This one he hit out the park.
So what is it about that song? I'm not disagreeing with like the catchiness, the anthemness of Drake. I am actually here for that argument, right? Like, I am saying there are people who would like to make the case of him from a more of a rapper standpoint, where they're like, yo, the bars dropped and it was dope, whether he wrote it or not.
He can rap his ass off.
Where that is.
Drake got songs. I can't even.
I'm asking so you can give me an example. This is not meant to be shady. Like, I'm genuinely trying to.
So I would say Ignorant Shit with him and Lil Wayne was fire. That was on So Far Gone. So, yeah. Tuscan Leather, which was on the album, what is this? Nothing Was the Same. So Nothing Was the Same. 6 Man on If You're Hearing This, It's Too Late. If you're reading this, it's too late. Wu-Tang Forever, Pound Cake with him and Jay-Z.
Pound Cake is crazy.
Fire. Like
Pound Cake is crazy. Whole cake
he be barring up. I'm gonna care a lot. He be barring up.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm familiar with all of those songs except for one. Okay. I will re-listen. I am.
He gets busy. Drake gets busy when he's called.
This is not a he can't rap question. Like, this is not those for me. It is in that conversation of greats.
Oh, okay.
I'm curious about, because he is being put in that conversation by some folks. I'm saying by y'all. And I'm going back to that thing of like, what does it do? Like, you being able to get busy, like, cool, like that actually is kind of your job. So I'm not, like, we can pull out some songs where you do that, but like, what about it or him makes him compelling to be in the conversations of greats for like the MC part of it? Hitmakers in the last 20 years, you can't ignore that Drake is in that. Like, you cannot. My own disdain for Aubrey, I would not deny that. It is just inaccurate to say that. Everywhere I've gone in the world in the last 20 years, somebody been playing Drake. So I'm not
playing somewhere. A lot of that is pop music, you know what I mean? But
he like, and I'm like, he's unlocked something in popular music.
I mean, some of that shit is just pop, but
for sure. But he's
I would say W Freestyles is ill. Even though, again, I think he got destroyed on the response, but like, he got busy.
Back to back. You didn't mention
back to back. I think back to back as a battle rap and as a song. I mean, again, if we take Not Like Us out the mix for a minute, right? Because Drake again has been thoroughly devastated. I mean, it's interesting for Drake to win a battle in such extraordinary fashion. And also to lose a battle in such extraordinary fashion. Like, and I love Meek. I'm from Philly. Meek is my brother. I love Meek, but I think even Meek would say probably at this point, Meek didn't win that battle, right? No.
That's something too. He battle tested, whether he won or lost. Like,
but I mean, he lost. He lost in clear fashion to Pusha T. He lost in world historical fashion. To Kendrick. But we can't lose sight of the fact that back to back was just as lopsided a victory as the other thing was a loss.
Yes. Okay. But I think Not Like Us more, but I think Not Like Us took the formula from back to back, and we talking about a chart topping battle rap song that totally eviscerates its opponent. He did the same. I thought Back to Back was a club record. I thought it was a street record. I thought it was a clever response. I thought it had all the formulas of clearly defeating somebody who was touted as a lyrical, let me not say a lyrical giant, but a rapper's rapper. People were like, Meek Mill going to clearly beat the shit out of Drake.
I didn't think that.
Okay, so at the risk of having Philly, I love Philly, but on my neck, I'm going to reserve my commentary about what the stacking of that was. I think I wasn't surprised that Drake won that battle.
Me either.
I'll be honest.
I'm in with outsized expectations for Meek. I'm not saying that's not about Meek being a terrible rapper or like not a solid one, but I wasn't like,
battle rap requires a skill set that I think Meek is a rapper. I love the way Meek raps. I love Meek. Dreams and Nightmares to me is a classic song. Very few rappers, I mean, 1%, less than 1% of rappers have a song as important or as good as Dreams and Nightmares. Meek is the shit. Battle rap not battle rap like yo son, not that in person, Cassidy shit, but like battle rap, like old school Bridge Wars battle rap requires cleverness, insight, strategy, all these things that I think Drake is just better than most people at. That's not just the Meek, it's just Drake is better than most people.
Yeah, I'm saying, but this was never gonna be I was never like, oh, which way is this gonna go? Like, it never seemed that way. And not that I thought that when he came against Kendrick either, because that just the bodies of work. I thought Drake was going to make a better hit out of this than he did, which did not happen. I was like, you didn't actually do your skill set well, right? In this moment.
Which is why when Drake comes out now looking like the Brat, it feels like he's.
Do not do the Brat like that. Do not do her like that. Period.
I think he's summoning the Brat. I mean, the Brat is the shit. I'm saying he's trying to be the Brat.
No,
Nigga. That's how you know you lose the battle when you start coming.
That's a crazy pit, yo. He looks wow, bro.
He's trying to figure it out. He lost in a way that he didn't think he would or could. I want
anybody on here to know that I'm not co-signing any of this being former DeBrat, current DeBrat.
He's not funkified in this picture.
Come on. He looked funkified right there.
So
funkified.
Come on, that's a funkified picture.
That is not funkified. DeBrat is fine for y'all to be talking on my sis, God. Good sis like that.
Love the Brat.
In that era and currently. Nope.
That's a fact.
Nope.
You all are ridiculous people. Look, we gotta go. I should probably go do something responsible in the world.
It's 12. Go to bed. It's 12 o'clock.
Well, I drank a whole bottle of sake talking to your niggas. So and I still got the call, which means I need more sake.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think these are meds.
These are the meds.
Got it. Okay.
Well,
I'm fine. Don't worry about the mule going blind, Jameer.
I don't even know what that means, but
that's because you're from Brooklyn and not the South.
Okay, sure.
It also means you haven't been to church enough.
Fair.
Devil got you in the chokehold. Don't worry about the mule going blind.
Again, you'll explain it to me later.
Mules are important in Black religious culture.
I never said they weren't. I just didn't.
Why do you hate mules, Jameer?
I love.
Maybe he pays assholes. So
wow.
I got that.
Hold my mule, Jenkins.
I'm
Marc,
good.
Please.
Jameer, hold my mule.
No. I'm not holding no damn mule.
Respecting Black women who are the mules of the world.
No, so, I am acknowledging. See, this is the problem that Dr. Umar be trying to tell y'all about. Hold my mule is about shouting John, but somehow
I'm aware.
No, I know you are aware, but you're making it about Jordan Hurston when it's about shouting John, who had all of this land, all of this food. Not one time had it been to the courthouse. Not one time had it been to the cemetery. And yet, you making it about
that's just
woman when it's about the Black man. Jameer, stop eating popcorn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm hungry.
It's just ridiculous.
I'm hungry.
You your little reference, and here we are.
I'm not dealing with this disrespect of the Black man anymore.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
I'm going home. I'm home. I'm going
You're home. You're home already.
Thanks for tearing down the fourth wall. I'm in the studio.
Drinking sake, you should take some drugs and go to bed.
I don't think I should mix anything with this sake. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to watch Grey's Anatomy. I started, for those who don't know, I started season 1 in May. And now I'm on season 16, episode 3. I have a problem. I can't stop whenever I want. So I'm going to watch 7 episodes.
Yo, 7?
Please watch 1. one.
3, and that's my final offer.
I don't care. Do what you want.
Well, and my daughter made me a sweet potato pie. I'm gonna eat at least.
Is it good?
It is delicious.
You like sweet potato pie? Oh, you don't like macaroni and cheese? I'm sorry.
I would murder you for a sweet potato pie.
Yo, this must be the sake talking.
Yo, no, it's not.
Well, I do know this about Dr. Hill. That
If you ask me on a Tuesday morning sake list, I will still murder Jameer for sweet potato pie. It's not a whole sweet potato pie, to be clear. A sliver.
That's slow. That's very low morals.
Look, whatever. Sweet potato pie is delicious. We ain't gonna get the fried chicken, but I'm gonna eat a sliver of sweet potato pie.
Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's really sweet.
Oh my God,
You're gonna murder me for a sliver of sweet potato pie? That's what you just said?
You're focused on the wrong part. My beloved oldest child made me a sweet potato pie. I can't eat the whole pie because I'm on a health kick right now. Sake notwithstanding.
Okay, because I was just about to say that bottle is gone.
This would have been St. Ides. Like
what?
So,
what? St. Ides?
Actually, I do recall a time in your life when you had Alizé in your refrigerator. So,
all right, that's disrespect. All right, so
man,
both of you have been to my project abode.
I've never been to a project abode.
There's a doorman downstairs.
There was a man at the door in the vestibule.
No, south-facing views of the New York skyline.
The point.
You had a wonderful view. You walk outside. That like rooftop, whatever that was, patio.
Every apartment.
Look
you can walk outside. That's not special. You can walk outside of any house.
No, but it was still connected to it was connected to your home.
It's really not true.
Y'all are confused about the crib, but the point is,
not at all.
Nah.
What was the point?
You don't know. That's off a bed.
That's
the point.
That you were on a health kick and it would have been St. Ides, and I said, "Well, that's."
I had Alizé in my refrigerator. So if a nigga got Alizé in his refrigerator and it's not 1996, it is problematic. It at least raises questions. But to be clear, my best friend had a baby release party, i.e., a baby shower with a rap theme, and they had Alizé and Hennessy to summon the legacy of the great Tupac Shakur. And so for that reason, there was the Alizé in my refrigerator because no one wanted to drink the shit after the party was over. No one really still drinks Alizé. Now, I drank Alizé in the 90s. I was outside in the 90s.
Nasty.
I drank Alizé and Hennessy in the club at 3-4 a.m. But I don't do that anymore. I'm no longer in the devil's chokehold. And so the Alizé stays in my refrigerator because I don't drink it. I let go of the Alizé and embrace the sake because I am civilized and mature and responsible.
So are you saying that the liquor that was to you, in the 90s in these Black cultural spaces is lesser than the traditional Japanese rice liquor? So you were saying I'm
saying in the 90s, Alizé was popping. In the 90s, Alizé was what you're supposed to be drinking. But if you're still drinking Alizé in the year of our Lord 2020, anything
you had it in your fridge 20 years after of this era. I don't know.
It was a gag gift. I have all kinds of things. I have a back scratcher on my desk.
Take it out the fridge. You could have discarded it. You could have given it to somebody. Because who
would take a bottle of Alizé from me?
I don't bail fresh out of jail, California, screaming.
Exactly.
Soon as I step on the scene of beer, screaming.
Eating for money and alcohol.
Come on now, you know it.
So I'll tell you, when my brother comes home, and he should be home hopefully in 2 years, 2 more years, I will have a bottle of Alizé
and Hypnotic
And I have some Hypnotic for him. I have some Air Force Ones. I have some baggy jeans for him. What else you want me to get for him? You want me to give him a DVD?
I don't think that'll work as
a Nextel chirp.
Wait, when he go in? What year?
You focused on the wrong parts.
I can tell you based on the year.
Don't worry about that part.
All right.
Right. We can.
No name, no blame.
But if that's what he wants, those things may be back. I'm simply saying you've hierarchized, like I've grown out of this, and which is to say,
I grew out of Alizé.
Of what was served, which was the cognac that was available to us at that point.
The cognac that was available to us is wild. like doesn't you see that? The only cognac that was available.
To us, if you're young and drinking, I mean, sorry, I'm not 60 like you are, so I mean,
all the yaks were available to you. All the yak was available. It wasn't like Lindsey wasn't there.
In the 90s, why was expensive? Do you know what good cognac cost? Do you know what cognac
was drinking?
It's not
Hypnotic.
Thank you.
Scooters on Lancaster Avenue, trying not to get shot in the ass.
Is that by Cecil B. Moore?
No. Barber's Hall is by Cecil B. Moore. Barber's Hall is where old drunk people go. I went in there one night at 3 a.m. and saw Joe Frazier.
Smoking Joe?
Smoking Joe. And Joe was drunk as Cooter Brown in there trying to tell me that Muhammad Ali wasn't shit.
Oh, he was still hanging on to it. Okay.
He says he won the fight. I swear to God. I bought him about
he
7
won one of them.
No, but he's saying the ones he lost, he won.
Oh,
I said, well, how do you make it out? I'm not going to, you know what?
Let's do this. Point B.
There's a great punchline to this, but I'm not going to be responsible for putting that in the world.
Okay. Maybe that's offline. But I just think that I'm saying if you were drinking in the 90s, I'm gonna date you a little bit here. I don't know.
I was not drinking in the 90s.
Excuse me?
I was not drinking in the 90s. I was drinking in the 2000s.
How are you not drinking in the 90s?
I was born in 78. I turned 21 in 99. December of 99.
So you didn't drink before
17th, 1999. I was drinking in the 90s for 14 days.
No, I just asked a question. You got real high.
She's trying to make me sound old. I was actually in the 90s.
I was trying to make you sound a little bit cooler because I was asking, did you drink before you turned 21? That's all I
was not. I was not.
Okay.
Except TGI Fridays on City Line with Allen Iverson. We had no choice.
What?
You always got a choice, brother.
Allen Iverson.
Sir, that sounds
Yeah.
This deal's definitely gonna get cut. But
let's read.
But in the 2000s, in the aughts, I was drinking.
Okay.
So in the 21st century, you drank Alizé.
I had Alizé, absolutely. In like
what I'm saying is because at that point, so I was either going to say in the 90s, that again was the cognac that was absolutely popularized. I think into the aughts, Hypnotic really becomes the more popular.
Yeah,
facts. I had a bottle of that blue Hypnotic too.
Yeah, right. Like because you had the Incredible Hulk, right? It was the Hennessy,
which was overkill because it was already cognac in the Hypnotic.
Right. No, it was just a cognac on cognac, right?
Cognac on cognac.
But you turned green and it was awesome or whatever. And that was like the thing. But I think that what I'm saying, however, is like having that in that point, like there are better cognacs that existed even then, right? Like I'm saying when you first start drinking, you drink the stuff that is most readily available. I'm saying when I say available too, that is what was on every bar, at every club I was going to, DC, New York, Philly, wherever I was. Alizé, those were the cognacs. I did not know about good cognacs. The best I had was Hennessy in terms of knowledge of cognacs.
That's very
in the early months. So I'm saying like now you're like, I've moved on from this. I'm like, well, there's a certain place that has like when I think about the various like drinks that we have now, like what you actually like and imbibe, sake being one of them. Yes.
I'm sorry. Somebody wrote in the comments, which I couldn't see before. Marc is like the uncle at the grill who was telling so many stories he's burning the burgers.
Yeah. Talking about smoking Joe. He ain't even here to defend himself.
Right, like,
Marc is holding his mule now.
you said Joe Frazier, we got Allen Iverson.
He's always drunk and burning up the food. I'm not.
That's true.
I have it in my fridge because I don't drink it as a new one.
Right. I don't understand. You could have thrown it out. You didn't throw it out.
Right. And Jameer,
a bottle of liquor.
Jameer, I want to say this: the gap between said event and when I discovered Alizé in his fridge was a long enough time for said Alizé not
to be a year. It was probably a year. You're not the only person who noticed it.
Of course.
I don't throw away liquor. Who throws away liquor? Who throws away a bottle of Alizé?
It's out.
When was you going to have it? Is my question.
So here's where it gets interesting.
Oh my God. Here?
Right.
Later, if I remember correctly, I drank it. No, I'm sorry. I didn't drink it. People drank it.
You drank it.
No, I didn't. I mean, I'm not above drinking it. It's I didn't like it back then. Alizé and Thug Passion is what we called it.
Thug Passion? That's Tupac.
You know, you make Thug Passion all shit. You know, like it was cool. But people was over at the crib and we was drinking, and then I pulled out the blunt that Snoop gave me.
Oh, this was that time.
Exactly.
Okay. But you still had it in your fridge, is what.
Yes, that's right. But understand, Snoop's blunt was also in my dresser drawer.
That's different.
That's very different.
What I'm saying is they were both old. It was just like, and it was like, all right, if we go.
That Snoop gave you versus a rando bottle of Alizé in 2016.
Was that the year? Was it 2016?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. It was a hell of a night. It was a hell of a night. I don't remember how the night ended. I don't remember where I ended up, but those are the good old days, man. My Lord. What did I do with my life?
It's okay. So I don't know. I just saying. I feel like you've archived liquor, and you're saying that as you get grown, you've moved and you moved away.
I definitely moved to better. I don't drink. I mean, honestly, I rarely drink.
No,
I see the irony of this,
okay.
but I rarely drink, and I don't smoke. I haven't smoked. I don't know the last time I smoked. It's
never smoked.
What'd you say?
Never smoked.
You've never smoked?
I think you knew this. Yes, I've never smoked.
It's not registered. And Jameer, you don't smoke?
Not anymore.
Yeah, like
no.
I don't think I've smoked in 10 years. I can't think of a time I've smoked in 10 years. I've taken an edible or two.
You smoked some blunt, didn't you just say you smoked some
right?
Blunt?
Like,
yes, that was in 20. She said 16, which would have made it 8 years. I think it was 2014. But if I smoked when I smoked Snoop's blunt, that was the last time I smoked. I thought that was 2014, but if it was 2016,
I'm saying that was I remember that HuffPost Live. I remember that.
Yeah, that's how long ago that shit was.
The Alizé thing was definitely 2016.
So I'll say this: I smoked Snoop's blunt the night that we did the day we did the interview, but then he gave me another blunt that I put in my dresser that I wasn't going to smoke. Because what happened was Snoop smoked part of it and they said, "Here you go, nephew. You can have the rest of this." So then I put it in the drawer and I was like, I'm gonna keep this for posterity. And then one night, Brooklyn nights, New York nights, whatever, I ended up wanting to smoke this L. Or I had people at the house that wanted to smoke this L. It was a crib full of people.
And
I thought that was, I get years, man. I could tell you tomorrow. But as of today, I don't remember. I'd have to look through my genealogy. But
to say it's been a while since you smoked is the point.
But it's easily been 8 years. At the most, it's been 8. At the least, it's been 8 years, maybe 10. I just don't smoke. And even in the time I did smoke, that was the first time I had smoked in probably 3 or 4 years since then. So I put like this: I haven't smoked 3 times in the last 15 years. Smoking, yeah. I don't enjoy smoking. I don't smoke. Right? I took a couple edibles here and there. I haven't done an edible since I think I hosted a TV show with Jameer.
Yeah.
That morning when I thought I went blind. And I thought I was. When I tell you I thought I was blind, I don't mean like. I mean, I thought I was. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, never edible, never smoke.
Good for you. You don't need it.
Yeah, you don't need it. Everybody, you don't need it. Be clean. Be good.
I don't have any like whatever.
I'm not judging about it. I'm just saying you don't need it. I'm not saying you shouldn't have it. You just don't need it. Nobody needs it.
Some people need it.
People do need it. Yeah,
For
actually,
medicine.
pain medication.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Again, you don't need it. You might. Again, I think there's a good reason to take it for pain management, cancer patients, blah blah blah. But like, I don't want anybody to feel like they need it. You know what I mean? You might want it. It might be good for you. It might be the best option medically, but you don't need it. I'm basing that on Jackson Avery, who is both a personal physician of mine.
Cite a fictional doctor?
Yo,
But
go to bed, man.
Yo, them books. That book would have walked if you ain't said nothing. You know what I'm saying? But okay, it's all good.
That's exciting.
I am going to bed because the disrespect is getting.
You brought it up. You said it.
Yo.
Like you could have just been like, according to doctors, but you literally put it
Yes, according to several doctors at Seattle Grace who I have spoken to intimately.
at a fictional hospital. That, and by intimacy, you mean in your house by yourself, being seasoned behind a show that's still currently airing.
It's still on.
Allegedly.
They've had 3 different pools of interns go through the entire surgical program at this point.
You know what? I'm not doing this anymore. Dr. Lindsey, you need to go. Didn't you have to go at 11?
I did. I have missed. I realized this. Yeah.
My plans.
Good. It is all good.
Good day. I got a cold.
That will.
Everybody, just know sake doesn't help.
I think we told you.
Control trial. It doesn't work. What's that?
Did you warm the sake?
No, it's room temperature though. It got delivered while one of y'all were talking. I went to a solo shot. I went to the door and got it, and came back.
Oh, so you needed to tell us that. It's like I intentionally went and wasn't here while you were talking. That's fine.
I can hear you. No, I can hear you.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I don't live in Kanye's mansion. I can hear you from the door. The door is away.
Okay.
Again,
land the plane, man.
Okay. My point being, if you are looking for sake to have that impact because it can, you actually should warm it up. It should be hot sake. That's just why. Like when I literally have gotten sick, I actually do drink sake and or brandy when I'm not feeling well with a cold. And
and or what?
Brandy.
Oh, brandy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Brandy. Yeah.
But still have some sake left. I would warm it up to.
There's no sake left.
It's none. You polished up that whole bottle of sake.
Not the whole bottle, but the bottle's here.
Well, in the future, when you are trying to use sake as part of your treatment plan, please warm it up. I know that might not come to a later season in Grays, but
wow.
But
the disrespect.
Who is no? I love Grays.
Oh my gosh.
Just the sake treatment. I'm just saying you might want to warm it up.
Warm it up.
Warm it up. All right. I'm gonna warm up the sake. I'm going to I'm listening. I'm reading these comments. Marc, you had to be extremely high, almost touching the sky to think that you were going blind. No, I really couldn't see. Jameer was there. Remember Jameer the next day where I was telling you I couldn't see and I needed to go to Will's Eye Hospital in Philadelphia, even though
you was high.
And then we did the show, and then I didn't read the prompter, and the show just started because I forgot.
Giggling a lot.
I was giggling because you and Gia Peppers are fools.
Yo, what's happening, man?
What? Say her name like that?
I always say it. I say it like that every single time.
It had a little extra, felt a little.
I honestly thought I was going blind. I went to the hospital and I told them that I couldn't see, and they told me, asked me if I'd done any drugs, and I said, well, I took an edible. And the thing is, like, it is the problem with the edibles. And I can't remember if I was in Detroit or California, but I got these edibles at a legal dispensary when I was traveling, and it was gummy bears. And apparently, you can't eat edible gummy bears where you eat like gummy bears from Target. So, who knew?
People, this may be your Alexis Skyy moment.
It might be, because I woke up the next day high and I couldn't figure out what was going on. But my vision really was blurred. Like, I really couldn't see. I couldn't read the teleprompter. I'm sitting there on BT live, and I couldn't read anything. And I got back to Philly, because I went to Philly on the weekends, and I couldn't see anything. And it turned out, I mean, they acknowledged I couldn't see. They didn't think I was making it up, but they assumed that I was on a much stronger drug. And so the doctors kept talking to me like I was like, you know, I needed 12 steps. And
it's okay if you need 12 steps.
There's nothing wrong with needing 12 steps. I just didn't need 12 steps. I just needed to be able to see. So they dilated my pupils. Your pupils.
Like the group?
I always get them mixed up. They dilated my pupils.
Yo.
You know what? I don't need this. I don't need this disrespect. I'm done. This conversation's over. Jameer Pond, thank you.
That's not me.
How can people find you and your storytelling?
You can find me on Instagram at Jameer Pond, JameerPond. On TikTok at Jameer Pond, the number 1, Jameer Pond 1, and JameerPond.com if you want to find out more about me.
I like that. He's a young Barnell Hill in his prime.
And no.
Did you miss me?
What?
I'm wrong with you, man.
What is happening?
You gotta explain.
Dr. Lindsey, how can people find you?
I don't know if they're gonna want to after this, but
that's a fair point.
On social media, Diva Feminist or America Goddamn, and TrevaBLindsey.com. Don't forget the B.
Don't forget the B.
Very important.
All right, y'all. It's been a wonderful episode of Night School. One of the more unpredictable and unwieldy ones. Whenever I get these two Jamooks together, they turn into
go to bed.
They turn into a rat. Jamook is it's acceptable. Not like the N-word. I'm grateful for them. They gave a great performance tonight. They did a wonderful job. Fabulous. Terrific.
Oh my gosh.
But everybody, I want to let y'all know that I'm broke. I'd love for you to donate to the channel because I don't have any money. So the Cash App is working again. I got it working tonight.
Yo.
So I know some of y'all been waiting to do Cash App all month. Go to Cash App, $MLHTV, and give whatever you want. If you give $1, I'm grateful. If you give $1 million, I'm more grateful, to be honest. Let's be honest here. But anything in the middle, I'm also grateful for. I just want your support. PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, anything you give. That's how we do Night School Monday to Friday, office hours at 9 p.m. on Sunday, the classroom in the cell 9 a.m. on Sunday, and coffee and books on Saturday at 9 a.m. This Sunday at 9 p.m. we got Jemima Pierre, the brilliant scholar, who will be coming in and talk about Haiti at 9 p.m. on Sunday. Next week, we got an amazing lineup of people, including some very special guests who you'll be very excited to see. I don't want to confirm them because people be funny style and cancel, but if it's who I think it is and who's confirmed, then it's going to be dope. I'm grateful for y'all, but, you know, freedom ain't free. We run this channel through people power. We want to show corporate media that we can defeat them. They're not the only game in town. The way to show that to corporate media is to compete. So when you hit the like button, you tell those YouTube algorithms that we matter too. When you hit the subscribe button, you increase our social media footprint, which allows the content to get to more people. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Please hit the join button. When you hit the join button, you can become a monthly subscriber to the channel for as low as $3.99 a month, as much as you want to pay. But it allows us, again, to have the financial stability we need to build a new studio, to hire staff, to put out the content that we do. We appreciate all of it. And again, if you don't want to make a monthly commitment, go to Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, and you can make a one-time payment. We consider it like tuition for the month. Again, $1 is great, $1 million is great. Anything in the middle is appreciated. But it's been a slow month, and part of it's because Cash App has been giving us the blues. They've been trying to make us give them a percentage of what we collect as free will donations. But at this point, I have conceded the point. Cash App is back up. Please donate if you want to. Please consider it at least. I appreciate you all. Like the content, share the content, subscribe to the content, but most of all, study the content, because that's what night school is all about. I will see y'all tomorrow for our Gaza update, and I'll see you Sunday for office hours, and again, I'll see you Monday for night school. Again, shout out to Jameer Pond, shout out to Treva B. Lindsey. I'll see y'all soon. Peace.